All right, Letitia. So you are June's Member of the Month. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you're so excited about this right now.
Absolutely. I'm
You've,
like jumping out of my pants over here.
you've been looking forward to this your whole life. This is what you've lived for.
It's a big deal for me.
um, but so we just wanted to kind of ask you a couple questions and kind of let everyone get to know you a little bit more and stuff like that. Kind of talk about some things going on currently since we're over a Zoom call rather than in person, trying to practice social distancing and stuff. But so we'll start off with, what is your occupation? So what do you do for work?
Mhm. So currently, I am what they call a senior administrator of employee relations and human resources. In regular terms, I just deal with conduct issues within a large school system.
Nice. Yeah, you had like this really long official title. Basically, I tell people what they're doing wrong and I fix it. Right. Yeah, no, you and Vince. I was talking to Vince the other day. He was like, "Yeah, I try and get stuff out of Letitia all the time, try to get the scoop on what's going on, but she never budges."
That's right. As part of my job, I have to be super confidential. It's
Yeah,
hard. I mean, I'm pretty sure they don't want to know what's going on, really. So,
no. And then I bet your job's been a lot of fun during this time as well, during like COVID and stuff, trying to just keep people in line and all that.
you know what? Honestly, I feel like I'm busier now than I was before, which is interesting. But it's like a new set of problems, things that we've never had to deal with before. So,
Yeah, that's crazy. And so what's your usual class time here at TCF?
usual class time would be 5 a.m.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then now, like, it's a unusual time, so now your, I guess, new usual class time is like 8:30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
8:30 or 4:30, but I try to do the 8:30, try to keep it early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, and you're one of the few 5 a.m.ers coming, and then like you're here every single morning. It's awesome.
I love it.
Um, is there a reason why you like 5 a.m. specifically, or?
I would say I'm a morning person, and I actually perform best in the morning. I, I get up earlier than 5, and I'm productive, and I get everything done. So I like to keep it that way, and I like to use the workouts just to kind of guide my day for the rest of the day. So
Okay.
kind of gets me energized, ready to go for the day. If I don't have it, then I definitely could tell that I didn't work out that morning.
Dang. Yeah, and I know the saying is win the morning, you win the day and stuff like that. So that's awesome that you try and start your day off right with the workout and start productive. I know there's been a couple times you come in at 5 a.m. and then you're like, yeah, I've already been up for like 2, 3 hours now. I'm sitting here, I'm like, I've only been up for like an hour. What the heck do you? You're like, yeah, I've already done laundry today,
Yeah, productive,
it's
super productive.
that's awesome. And so what is your fitness story? So like, how long have you been doing CrossFit? How long have you been at TCF?
I've been at TCF the entire time, and it's about 5 years now. About 5 years, yeah. And it's the only place I've been to for good reason. Um, just to kind of give you a little background, I had just had my daughter. She's probably about a year old, and I was definitely feeling it. And I tried the Globo gym, and I didn't really like it. I always felt like people were always looking at me because I know I always look at people, so I know they were looking at me.
Hmm.
And I could, I'm not motivated or anything when I go to Globo gyms. I just don't like the atmosphere. And I actually went to work and had a conversation with one of my colleagues who was a member of TCF at the time, and he was an older gentleman. He probably would be in the Legends class right now, but he's moved since then. And he said, "Well, you should try CrossFit." And so I did, and I loved it immediately because I was an athlete in the past, and so it kind of gave me that competitive feel, but at the same time focusing on your independent um, workout at the same time. And I could look to my left and I can see somebody had modified something, or I look to my right and I see somebody else struggling with the same thing that I'm struggling with, you know. Um,
Hmm.
and so I just, I can't see myself doing anything else than CrossFit now because it's number one, I probably would be bored, and it's just the perfect workout for me because it's quick, it's intense, and you're never going to be great at it. You're always going to find something new that you can work on. So.
Oh yeah, there's always something that you can improve on. And then that's great that you were talking about how the like you have this one person over here who has to modify something, just like maybe that you had to do yourself, especially from the beginning. And then it's like then the other person over there is like dying, just like you're dying. It's like so you're all in it together, even though you're all doing your own workout. So that's awesome.
Definitely,
Um, and
definitely.
so what mentioned that you used to be a athlete or you were an athlete and you still kind of are, but what was it that you did again?
I played basketball and I ran track.
Yeah, so the whole running part.
Can you believe I ran track? Yeah.
I maybe possibly. I know that running is always your most favorite thing to see on the board. Um,
Gosh,
yeah,
I was
both of those.
scared.
Well, okay, that makes more sense because anything over like 200, you're like, oh.
Even 200s, I'm dying. But yeah, I was a sprinter back then. Anything short and quick, I was okay with. I was actually pretty decent too. I was pretty good. But now, not so much. But
Yeah, I remember the first time when you told me that you ran track, I was like, wait, hold on. You ran track? And so I was like, every single time we run, you're like, oh, Joe, do I have to do this? So I thought that was always funny. And then also basketball too. I mean, you run so much in basketball, running back and forth. So I just think that's kind of ironic. That's funny. But so you mentioned that the older gentleman that you used to work with kind of got you interested in TCF. So what kind of made you decide to join TCF? Was it the people kind of having to scale, people suffering with you? Is that what helped kind of made you decide to join, or what was the reason why?
um, besides the fitness portion of it, it was the people. I just thought, the atmosphere was perfect for me. It was, a family gym. I could see that there were a lot of husbands and wives, and the kids would come, and that was another thing that really helped out because my daughter was very young at the time. They actually had a location for the children. And I'll tell you a quick story that when I first started, my daughter couldn't handle the noise and she was a baby. So she was screaming, crying. And there was one day when it's probably like my third day, I packed up all my stuff and I was ready to leave in the middle of the workout. And everybody stopped and said, "No, you cannot leave." And I was like, "But she's interrupting." And they were like, "No, you cannot go. Just she'll get over it. She'll get used to it, and
Mm,
we want you to stay." And after that, that was it. They really kind of helped me understand that this is truly a family atmosphere, and they were willing to, they stopped their own. To make sure I was okay.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
people, definitely the people.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean the community is so important here, and I mean, and just in CrossFit gyms in general. So I mean, that's awesome that you experienced that on your third day. Uh, so that's awesome. And then so kind of going back to talking about how you like to work out so early in the morning. So why do you always wake up so early? Is it to work out, or is it just like is that how you always have been, or like what's the reasoning for that?
I think I've always been a morning person. Um, since I was young, I just feel like that's the best time to get things done. But I think since I've become a mom, I'm more apt to I might not be asleep, but I'll be laying in the bed, right? Like I'll be there. Um, and knowing I have to get up and work out, like that'll be the very first thing I do when I wake up is check my phone and check the workout. So just knowing I've got to get up to work out, even when I don't want to peel myself out of the bed, I don't care if I have to roll over 4 times to get out of the bed. I get out and I'm like, okay, I got to at least make it to the gym because I know that's what I need to get my day started. So
Mm,
it's I'm getting older, so I realize that there are some days where I want to just lay there, but I know I have to get up and get going. So
so that's I guess that's kind of unique because I mean I don't really know a whole lot of morning people, but but that's awesome though, that even when you don't feel like it's the uh, or you don't feel like getting up and coming to the gym or whatever, you just know that it's going to make your day better. You know, it's going to have that positive impact, that impact on your day, um, from coming into the gym and working out. So that's awesome. Um, and so what, I guess, what are some other benefits besides being able to get your workout in and stuff like that that you found from waking up early?
I just think productivity in general. I think I get more done, um, and I'm more apt to following like a strict schedule. If I get up early, I'm like, okay, I've got this amount of time, this amount of allotted time to get this done. Let's do it, and I just keep moving like that. So, um, and it also gives me a lot of time to have some time with myself in the morning.
Mm,
Um, just having a couple of minutes alone just to sit in silence, or sometimes write in a journal, or just have a cup of tea and then get my day started, outside of the laundry and everything else that you have to do. I just feel like it just helps to center me a whole lot more than getting up later on in the evening or afternoon.
yeah, yeah. Does your husband wake up about the same time too, or does he kind of sleep in? No.
No way. He will sleep as long as possible. So I get up and I come downstairs and do what I need to do, and I'm like, see you tomorrow.
Hmm. But that's cool though, that even though your husband doesn't necessarily do it, that you've kind of stuck with it. You've found that time to be your own time and stuff like that. And then also kind of being able to focus on yourself, finding time within your busy schedule, even as your schedule has gotten busier during this time. So that's awesome. And then I guess while you're waking up early, that means you have to go to bed early. Do you have any uh, tips or anything like that for consistent sleep or going to bed earlier? Because I know me personally, I really struggle. I don't struggle waking up early. It's the whole fact of going to bed earlier that I struggle with. I guess you have any tips on that?
you know, Besides the fact that I'm usually tired by then, I have found that just kind of having like a consistent nighttime routine and forcing yourself to do certain things, whether it be, okay, I'm going to take a shower at this time, and I'm going to read for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to go to bed. But I think just trying to be consistent and do something before you go to bed. Do something that's mindful or helpful to you, your mental health before you go to bed. I think just being consistent and just forcing yourself to do it. I know it's hard for some people, but if
Yeah.
you get up at the time I wake up, you'll be tired. So
Yeah, you wake up at like 3 in the morning, and by the time 8 o'clock rolls around, you're like, what?
it's when you see me in the Zoom meetings,
The
and I have my
hangouts.
blanket up here because I'm literally in bed.
I think like the first couple of TCF hangouts that we did over Zoom, like, yeah, you would chime in, and like you're sitting there in bed, you have your phone right here, you're like, I'm here, guys.
I'm tired.
And then I think there was one time where you were falling asleep on the Zoom call. And I was like, Letitia, you good?
Don't worry, it's not just you. I do it all
Yeah.
the time.
But so you're saying like that consistent nightly routine, some sort of routine where you are winding down, kind of helps you get to bed earlier, kind of calm down yourself.
Exactly.
What
Exactly.
what is your routine usually look like? I mean, you mentioning kind of have a shower at this time, maybe read, and what does it usually look like for
Yeah.
you?
I'm actually trying to do better in that area. And so, don't forget I have a little person. So sometimes I beat her to bed, but it's basically just trying to get her together. And then, like I said, I'll try to take a shower. I'll sit and either watch a little bit of TV. I don't really watch a whole lot of TV, but watch a little bit of TV and just spend a little time with my husband, whether we're having a conversation or my daughter's in the middle talking to us, or whatever. And then if I can, I try to read a little bit and then I'll go to bed. But I'm usually so tired. While we're talking, I might just fall asleep. So.
Just like sitting there, you open the book like for the first page, and then
Exactly.
That's awesome. And then do you do that on the weekends as well? Like, do you still follow a very similar kind of sleep and wake up schedule?
I do. I get called boring quite a bit, but I try. Try to keep it
But
the same.
but that's like, I guess that's another way that you could help out with a consistent sleep. Like if you carry that into the weekend rather than extending it or changing it up, that helps your body get in the like the circadian rhythm and all that stuff. So that will help out with your going to bed early and stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's one thing that I definitely struggle with. But
You need to get a good book. For sure.
yeah. Um, but so you were talking about kind of how you're during your nightly routine and stuff like that. You got the things that you try to do. Has that changed with the COVID-19 shutdown and stuff?
Um, my nightly routine, yeah, I would say it's impacted it a little bit, just because I find myself working a little longer at times. And so I have to, it's really hard to have the balance, right? Because you're working from home. So it's not like you have that drive home to kind of calm down and bring yourself down from work. You're just
Hmm.
working, working, working up until the point of whatever you need to do. And so I've noticed that it has impacted that. But I really, I've tried to be very mindful of it, and I'm trying to do better, especially now. I'm like, after being home for 3 months, I realize you've got to separate work from your own personal life and your own personal time. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. And then so how has working out changed during the shutdown?
yeah. So I will say that I have definitely taken working out way more seriously than I did, because I have, I don't want to say more time, right? But during the day, I get to work out with you guys. And then if I choose to stay in my home gym, I can do that, and I can stay in there for a little bit longer rather than sprinting home to get to work.
Hmm.
Um, but I think I do miss being in a class. I enjoy the Zoom workouts, and I think they're very helpful, and they're just as good because you can see everything that I'm doing. So you're still yelling at me in the background, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I can still see everybody else. But I do miss being in class, having those laughs in class, and having that interaction. Um,
Mm.
that I do miss. But I think I would say I've probably gone from 50 to 75 at this point where I'm like, okay, this is, I'm focused. I'm really focused a lot more than I was before. So.
That's awesome that you're taking like it, I guess you could say more seriously or like taking it like or kind of focusing on it a little bit more during this time. And then you've been doing the Zoom workouts and stuff, and you're saying that they're kind of on par with the classes, except for obviously um, the community interaction, because obviously that's kind of limited depending upon who else is on Zoom, and also kind of balancing the class and Zoom itself. But um,
I miss my 5 a.m. people.
really,
I do. I do.
yeah,
When you have a class that you go to consistently, the bond that you form with that small group, it's different than everybody else. I mean, everybody's great, but that small group, I do miss them.
yeah. Gene still comes in at the 6 a.m. class, and then Vince is like kind of all over the place. Um, but he still shows up just as late as usual.
At least he's
Um,
consistent.
yeah, but I mean, but that's, I mean, and it's awesome that you're staying consistent as well. Like, I mean, you're consistently coming to the classes. I know that I'll either catch you on the Zoom at 8:30 or 4:30, or if you weren't there, then it was probably like just a rest day or a rough day with work. But I mean, I mean, consistently you're on the Zoom classes at least 5, 6 days a week, and that's awesome that you've been able to stay so consistent with that. Though you're working from home, you're balancing it. I mean, sometimes during the warm ups and whiteboard briefs, you're answering emails off to the side. You're like, I gotta finish this. As I'm sitting there, like, you got any questions to the teacher? You're like, no, I'm good.
That's right.
But it's awesome that you've been able to stay consistent and be able to keep pushing your fitness that way. And then also you found out that you can swing a heavier kettlebell and do all this stuff with heavier weights because you're kind of limited with what you got.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
um, but I just want to ask you some other questions as we kind of come to a close. So what are you most proud of achieving since starting with TCF?
Hmm, good question. I would definitely say, okay, I'll break this up, right? So I have physical achievements and then I have some others. So I would say physically, I would say deadlifts and pull-ups. Like I never thought I would be able to do either. Okay. But I also think on the opposite side of that, just um, being more social and talkative and interacting with people, because that's very hard for me. It might not seem like it now, but I've come a long way. So I think it's also helped me with that. Something.
Nice. And then you did, what was it? You did strict Murph the other, or like a couple weeks ago, or whatever. And I mean, you were sitting there cranking out those pull-ups and stuff. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I would not ever assume that you would struggle talking with people now. I mean, now you just come in the room, you're like, hey guys, I'm here.
Yeah, you guys did that. You created this monster.
Nice. I'm glad that we did that because I mean, you're awesome to have in the classes and you're awesome to kind of have hang around and stuff. So, um, and then, so what's something that you thought was never possible before, but you can do now? So maybe it's something physical or maybe something on the emotional, mental side.
Let's see, something that I can do now. Hmm. I would say silly, run a mile without stopping. I have improved drastically. I think my mile has always been 13, 14 minutes, really, really long. And every time I run a mile, I just think in my mind, don't stop, just don't stop, just keep going. And my
Mm-hmm.
mile time has dropped every single time that I do it. So um, even though we don't do a lot of mile running,
Mm-hmm.
in our workouts, but we do short bursts of running. That has been tremendously helpful for me. And even though I complain and I struggle a little bit, but I see what it does when I actually run a mile. So
That's that's awesome. I mean, um, it's so crazy that you were a track and basketball athlete to me, but but I mean that's awesome because it shows just like your I guess mental um progression because like you probably have always been physically capable of doing it. It's just the mental aspect of consistently doing the same thing for however long it is for the whole mile. And then it's awesome that your mental game has improved that much. So where you can push yourself a little bit harder and keep moving throughout.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say what my mile time is. Is way better than 13 minutes. Because if I
we'll
tell
just
you, you'll say, "Oh, it should be lower next time."
yeah, we'll just kind of we'll graze over that. We'll just keep. And then so you've talked about kind of some positive impacts. Talking working out at TCF about how just the community aspect kind of becoming more social. The being able to do the pull up, doing pull ups, running the mile without stopping, improving on that. Is there any other positive impacts that you've seen from working out at TCF?
You know what? I would say my daughter. My daughter wants to be active, and getting her to do things. First of all, she's 6, so it's hard to get her to do anything, right? But
Mm,
she asks, when are we going back to the gym? When is my class? And just to watch her sometimes when we do get to come to the children's class, I chuckle, but to see her rowing and doing box jumps, it's actually pretty funny, but it's amazing. She used to play soccer and she'd be the kid on the field with her hands in her pockets and didn't want to run. So for her to want to do CrossFit, and I think she also likes it because of the fact that she's got the other kids that are helping to motivate and push her too, and
hmm
they're kind of all in the same boat, but she's lifting the kettlebell, so I think that's major for me, just getting my family involved. At one point my husband was with us, and now, even though he's not, he does some other things, but we're a household that is very focused on our fitness, and I mean, we would not have been here without it, you know, and I would have never thought we would be a household that was focused on fitness, you know. So I'm just thankful because that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, that's awesome, and you're kind of leading by example almost, and that's awesome that you're creating those habits for her so early, and then hopefully they kind of stick throughout, and she stays with that healthy mindset, that positive relationship with fitness and health.
Yeah.
That, that's that's awesome. I'm getting chills right now because of that. And then last thing is, what would you say to yourself 1 year ago, if you could tell yourself one thing?
I would say there is always something you can improve on, and to always to continue setting new goals, right? Because you're going to achieve that goal of whatever it is, a push up, a pull up, a handstand. You're going to fly through that and pick something else, and you'll be good at it, you know, within the next couple of weeks or months. Just focus. You find something that you want to work on and do it, and just keep your mind set on it and just keep working on it, because you'll get it eventually. So I would say that.
That's awesome. Yes, you gotta have those goals, stick with it, and then just keep pushing towards them. And it's amazing what you can achieve if you really believe and keep pushing for it. So that's awesome.
Yep.
Um, I guess, is there any other remarks that you would like to say, Letitia, before we uh, end the interview?
No, I'm just excited. I'm
Yeah.
super. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you again, Letitia, for taking the time out of your day to talk with us about, or just about your experiences with TCF, and also kind of just letting us get to know you a little bit more. And congratulations again for being June's member of the month.
Thank you.